Charlie, is it possible that the Wells Fargo Center is just cursed?
Yes. So here's my question though. I think I've reached the point where I do believe that there is something wrong with the vibes at the Wells Fargo Center. Like the Sixers, as crazy as we think the Flyers are, I mean, the Sixers, like, do you remember the Colangelo burner account scandal? Like, they have just
yes, I interacted with one of them.
Just as wild shit, if not more wild shit than what happens to the Flyers. And it in a sense, it's almost even more wild because, like, the Flyers were a total dumpster fire of an organization. It makes sense that they would do things that a dumpster fire of an organization would do. The Sixers were a good team, and they were still doing all this crazy ass shit. So I am coming to the conclusion that there is something off with the Wells Fargo Center vibes. However, I'm not sure if it's the building. I wonder if it's the name.
This is something I just went through. So obviously neither team has won since the building has been open. Flyers haven't won since 75. Sixers haven't won since 83. All right. So they both won at the Spectrum.
Right.
But at least, like, they've done some stuff in the building. 2001, we all remember the Allen Iverson MVP run. They run up against the Lakers in the final. Nothing you can do about that. It's a fucking dynasty.
Yeah,
you know? It's Shaq and Kobe.
It happens.
Like, it is what it is. But they did lose. They did lose on the home court in that one. And the Flyers in 2010 lose on home ice. Now, they did lose in Detroit, at least in 97. But you look at, since this place opened, it was opened as the Coors State Center. It's that name from 1996 to 1998. It's the First Union Center from 98 to 03. It's the Wachovia Center from 03 to 2010. They lose on home ice in June of 2010. In July of 2010, becomes the Wells Fargo Center.
It's all downhill from there.
And Charlie, it's been real bad.
Yeah.
Especially, like, that's really when things went wrong. That's when both teams hit their low points. They have now both, like, orchestrated rebuilds. We are seeing the fruits of the Sixers. Might not ultimately pay off, but they tried. And
give it a go.
The Flyers are currently in a rebuild since then. Neither team has made it out of the second round since then. Unfucking believable.
I'm just going to discuss when a certain enterprising fictional character dealt with a similar situation. And I'm going to read this from a blog that I discovered. In the third season of The Wire, Stringer Bell, an up-and-coming drug lord in Baltimore, is faced with a problem. He is getting a weak and inferior supply of cocaine. He's losing customers who go to his main rival, Prop Joe, to get their drugs. But Stringer has big ambitions, and he's been taking business classes at the local community college. So he queries his professor, in general terms, how he might surmount the problem of his inferior product. The solution, change the name.
Yes, yeah.
Fuck Wells Fargo. We need a new name.
Maybe they just need a new name. Honestly, like, man, the building hasn't seen a ton of success. Well, I don't want to say that. The Wings and Soul have done very well there. I do not believe the Phantoms won at home in 05. But I could be wrong
I'd have to
about
go back.
that.
Yeah,
I know they won at home in 98, but that was played at the Spectrum. I do not know about their second Calder Cup. But the building, in terms of the major sports that play there, not a ton of success, but at least some in the early years. Since this 2010 rebrand, it has been a disaster. Like, neither team has gone
to me, it's
to
not
a conference final since the rebrand.
It's not even the results, because yes, the results have not been what fans want.
It's the wacky shit.
It's the wacky chaos. Both organizations for the last 15 years, basically, have been cursed with being the most chaotic organizations maybe in North America.
I mean, there's poorly run organizations that are just have no prayer of being good because they have. Say what you want about Josh Harris. He might be an absentee owner, but I don't know if he's like an actively imbecilic owner. Like, you just have shit like the Raiders. It's like, guess what? You ain't never going to be good. You could sell and then you might have a chance. But like, there's those teams. I don't know if they're like Dallas is constantly in the headlines. The Cowboys. I don't know if they're like chaotic though. Like nothing actually since T.O. They've never been like since T.O. and like the Jessica Simpson stuff with Tony Romo. They've never been that team. Yeah. They're just like poorly run.
Yeah, they just underachieve based on the talent and the expectations. But no, I don't think
chaos and
this
like
is chaos.
The constant wacky shit. Like they're not an NFL team, so it's like it's hard. Like those teams just get the headlines, you know.
To be sure.
But for what they are in their sport, like the Flyers should be irrelevant. But it's something always with them.
Yep.
Like we've been able to do this show every offseason for years because they're so fucking stupid. It's just something stupid happening all the time.
And sometimes it's not even of their their making. Just stupid things happen to these teams.
Maybe
like Markelle Fultz forgets how to shoot.
Yeah, like he just we got a number 1 pick. We traded up for him. Here we go. It's, what was it? Retweet Armageddon. We were always right. Trust the process. Guy can't play a little bit.
It's wild.
Guy is not only like doesn't live up to number 1, flat out one of the biggest busts of all time.
He forgot how to shoot the ball. And that was his biggest strength.
They got him to shoot. That was the thing. How is it possible, Charlie? Should we? I hate the idea. Listen, I am so 100% pro sports complex. The idea of breaking up the sports complex to me is like I'm Abraham Lincoln trying to keep the Union together, brother. We're going to do whatever we have to. Should we just let him go? And maybe the Flyers should rent off of him. Maybe the Flyers should be the tenants at 76th Place, and we just go, listen, it ain't happening here. You get to go have your Chinatown arena. We'll see.
Hey, if it changes the vibes, I am very, I am very anti. Like, I do not believe in jinxes. I do not believe that like me tweeting something out on Twitter is if I say the goalie's playing well and then he gives up a goal. Like, no, that wasn't me. That's because the Flyers goalies, they don't have Connor Hellebuck. Sorry, but this is so ridiculous that I am at the point where it's like, sure, you know what? Let's try something new.
Literally try anything.
Yeah.
Like we both obviously reference Major League all the time.
Of course.
Should have got the live chicken. Like, do we need to have some sort of sacrifice? Like, what, an exorcism? Something needs to happen. Because you look at the other two teams, and it's not as if, I mean, the Phillies are the losingest organization in the history of North American sports. Mm-hmm. 11,000 losses and counting.
It's a lot.
They've also been pretty damn good for a lot of the tenure. Like, they went through that little lull between 2012 and the signing of Bryce Harper.
I would say it was more than a little lull, but like it was a lull that was understandable and also didn't involve them just like falling flatter on their face in the most embarrassing way possible. They just stunk. They just sucked.
Yeah,
they just stunk.
They just went away for a little while. And like leading up to that, even like the pre-07 teams, they were like borderline playoff teams. They failed at the end, but they were like borderline playoff teams. And then, you know, they go on their run, and now they're on a run like that again. And the Eagles, they've been relevant for almost all of Jeffrey Lurie's tenure. They're one of the like shining examples of like just be relevant and you become a premier organization. And I don't think they've become a premier organization in the last 25 years.
And I don't think the Eagles, with the notable exception of the T.O. situation, I don't think the Eagles were ever chaotic, really. I can't really think of a run where it was just like, what crazy thing is going to happen to this team now?
I mean, the end of like the final year of Andy Reid's tenure was just really fucked up. Like
Chip Kelly was a little weird.
Chip Kelly stuff was weird, but that was like a 3-year divergence from what the overall plan has been. Yeah. And then they went back to just being like this consistently solid organization immediately after that. And I think, you know, what was their worst season? 7-9 in that time? Like, it's not like they were 3-13.
Well, they had the 1 year where they got Lane. They were real bad, right? Because he was the 4th overall pick, and they didn't trade up to get him.
That's Andy's last year and Chip's first year for Lane. Is that what it was?
Well, Chip's first year, they were real good.
Yeah, and then they become good right away.
Yes.
So those two teams who both have done it in their new facilities, like in new buildings, have won championships.
Yep.
Like, obviously, you don't win a Super Bowl at home, but they've won a couple of NFC titles there, and 3 NFC titles there. The Phillies have won a World Series in their building. They've been to a few. They've been to a few NLCS. Like how it is the building,
Bill,
right?
Bill, I'm ready to try anything. Like, we got Mr. Schwitzler here saying, I know some ladies who claim to be witches if we need to cleanse the building. Like, you know what? Bring all the crystals.
Bring them.
Bring all the crystals. I don't care.
Dude, I am willing. Is that something? Maybe we should try for this Flyers opener. Let's get Dylan, do a tailgate, and do some sort of ceremony, like a wiping the slate clean ceremony for the teams. Is that something? Maybe that's necessary.
Perhaps
it's unbelievable how bad things have been.
I am at the point where I am not dismissing any ideas out of hand.
Especially since 2010 in this building. It's unbelievable how bad things have been.
Yeah. And again, it's not even just the badness, because there have been
silly.
How silly.
How fucking ridiculous
the
it has been.
true silliness of it all. It's bonkers.
For these organizations that are like, look, these are formerly premier organizations. They are owned by Comcast, owned by Josh Harris. These things should not happen. It's unbelievable.
We all silly like the mayor.